Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. Looking around 1 o'clock. And we're going to get right into it. I don't got too much time. I got my haircut appointment. Then I got to bounce out of here from Milwaukee to good old Fort McCoy. So it's going to be a good time. And I'm going to get into what I kind of discussed from my previous video if you want to check that one out. So I was looking into Constellation brand, and boy, their earnings went kaboom. And I played it passive. I ended up selling 2 shares of Apple, which I mean was a contradictional play because in the week 2 they're up almost 3%, about $5. That could have been another maybe $6 with Apple, but I wanted to see what Constellation Brands was up for their earnings. Today was a big day for them. They reported their I believe it was their quarter one. Yeah, their quarter one, and it beat expectations about 1.89 on the estimate on their actual results. With, I believe, I didn't look too much into it because I've been packing and all this jazz, but I mean, right here I could pull it up and it's not going to be too much in vague. I mean, look, boom, right there, right at 194. So it popped up dramatically. That was the peak of its price wise, 1.84 per share. And the big news was, I remember reading this, the wine and spirits brand of Galileo, it's going to they're going to have a little partnership going. They're going to start sending wine brands, relatively cheap wine to them so they can sell them. That's good for them. And you know, I've been big into this company, never really playing into it, but on observing, yes, because I mean they put a lot of money into Canopy, and that's what drove the prices down from their. You can see right there on that graph, it was around it looks like 215. It was a good plateau there, and then right when the news of their partnership with Canopy Marijuana Company kind of plumped down the stocks. And this was a big report for them because, I mean, let's say they didn't beat their earnings. Let's say they didn't have the right amount of money that they made of that quarter-wise. That would be a big impact on the marijuana district of Canopy with Constellation and lowering stocks probably to maybe to the 130 round. But it didn't, and that's why I kind of played passive with it because, I mean, and it's looking like for the weekly charts, you kind of want to look into that linear, because right there it gets to the point. Will it go up to the 200 marks? It all depends on movements like partnerships with other companies to distribute their wine. Modelo, Corona. They have a good variety of Hispanic beer, which I'm a fan of. Why I kind of wanted to take this little investment wise. And they also, today, they declared a 63-cent dividend paid out on May. If you own the stock by May 10th, it will pay you on May 16th, I believe, 15th. Maybe, I think 15 was the original date, the previous year. And then the new one is on the 16th. But, I mean, it's doing well, up almost 6%, $10. A little bit of a nice gain. Will I hold out? I kind of want to hold on to them because they're doing well. Disney's doing well for me. Apple's doing well with me. And going back to my other one now, kind of momentum gain on the tech business. It's not going to be Apple. That was in the previous video. They did announce news on 2 things. 5G is coming up. If you don't know what 5G is, we'll get to it because you should know. It's basically faster internet for your phone wise and mobile devices. And they're kind of saying that it's going to be debatable if they're going to have 5G on their new phone, which is interesting because, first of all, it's mostly a carrier. So if you think about it, if their phones are not going to allow it, that means one thing. They're going to wait, then they're going to make a newer phone that only allows 5G, and it's going to be quick and it's going to be efficient, and everybody was going to be wanting to jump into it. Because their problem right now, Apple, throw it right into it, their problem is that everyone is holding on to their older phones of Apple, and no one really has the money, the urge to spend for that newer one. The XR, I've been hearing great things about the camera. Everyone's buying it, everyone's using it, which is good. So that's going to be a big day on, what is it, the 30th of this month. This April right here, this month is big for a lot of tech stocks, a lot of stocks actually in general, for releasing their earnings. So jumping to a different bubble, we're going to talk about the bull market, and then the bear market that was mostly around December and January. So hoping for you guys, I took advantage a little bit of buying and selling, but if you did buy around that time, prices were low. And like any advice given to you about the stock market, you buy low and then you sell high. So that's what I kind of did for Apple. That's what I did for Disney. Boeing, it's been debatable. I'm waiting on them. But kind of jumping back into my previous segment of Apple, and in general stocks, this April is going to be a huge month, and looking forward to what brings into it. That's why for myself, maybe buying it early before the earnings is going to be beneficial. Knocking on my foot, because it may be. Twitter wise, and I'm not even going to talk to some stocks. I'm kind of limited to 2 per video. And I did discuss a little bit of Apple. Twitter, debatable. They got their they were expected to. This dude right here, I don't like how it goes. He hikes the price to $45. So Twitter's a hold for me. And like I said, earnings April 23rd, my birthday. They're looking well. And since I have 20 shares of them, I'm definitely gonna hold. Get to that 40 mark, I easily make good money back with Twitter. So it's a definite hold. And what I suggest, and like I say, what I'll be doing is I'm going to be holding a lot of shares. I may be getting rid of some ones that I dislike anymore. No. Do I want to rebuy maybe into Apple, Disney, and mostly Disney because of what's happening. Endgame's coming out. Endgame, we've seen from Captain Marvel reaching $1 billion in box office. Some radical number, but reaching this outrageous number. Just imagine what Endgame is going to do to Disney. That's going to boost up a lot. And we got Game of Thrones coming out. Guess what you could do with Hulu? Owners of Disney, what Disney owns. I even did this shit when I didn't even buy Disney. You have Hulu, and then you spend a little bit more money to get HBO to watch Game of Thrones. So this is why I like the stocks, because it keeps you up to date on different aspects of the world. I could be in God knows wherever, not United States, own United States stocks, and if I do like doing my portfolio, I would be updated around the news about company wise, about what's happening around the world, because when you take advantage of these news aspects, the stock rises. And if you want to sell off, you sell off and you take your money. And going back to it, guys and gals, why I enjoy doing this is not all the money. I actually got asked this question. I'll give a little shout out to my boy Han. He's like, hey, why do you like to do stocks? And I kind of gave him a little bullish answer. I was like, well, I want my family to have money. Well, I like to have money, and I focus too much about money. But it's not about that. It's about being able to live a life that you're enjoying while gaining income on the side. There's a lot of things that I do when I'm doing stocks and looking at stocks that I'm at the side making money. Yes, it's not amazing dividends every fucking week or month, but it does rise. With the gains of stocks you buy into those shares, you start diversing your portfolio into what's happening around the world, because even my sister was getting into this dilemma of I gotta look at 10 minutes. Okay, haircut's almost about time. About to wrap it up. But to conclude everything, my sister had this issue. She was like, she works at Home Depot, and she had a question like, what's a 401k? I'm like, wait a minute, you don't know? Did Home Depot offer you this 401k? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, does Home Depot pay whatever half you put into? So, yeah. I'm like, well, you should have put into it. Why? Because it lowers your tax bracket, the amount of money that you put into it. And two, it's good to have a 401k. But this also portrays that one, the economy is doing bad, you could lose a lot of money. And having this portfolio for yourself, you get to start balancing yourself. You're the one responsible for the gains and losses. And at times you're not always going to be winning. Like this week, I'm almost up 4%. But that's the consistency of what I like to do and my aspects. Because maybe when, let's say, that bear market did occur in January, December, and if I was like, oh, I'm going to hold guts to my S&P 500, yes, it's going to bounce back, but not as dramatically as if you were moving the pieces around to gain the accessible amount of money and accessible amount of plays that you know will occur during that time. Some people don't like it, some people do. And that's what I'm going to kind of conclude for this episode. Highlighting on Constellations, highlighting on Disney, and a little bit of Apple aspects with a little bit of Twitter. Kept you guys forward stocks I talked about, and hopefully you guys retained it. But I'm going to sign off right here as I'm gone for these couple of weeks. I'm going to try to, if I have time, talk about some upcoming news on different stocks. But whatever, you guys have a good Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, so we'll see how that plays out. And have a good weekend. Deuces.